Hey everybody, it's me, RunnerEye, and today we're going to be ranking insane Drag Race curses. So the Drag Race fandom is surprisingly superstitious, and they believe that certain curses exist on the show. Some of these theories are more grounded in reality, like if you win the Rusical episode, that you won't win the crown in the end. But also some of these, curses are more out there and a little bit loony, like how if a queen is named after something that's edible, she will automatically be placed as a runner-up instead of the winner of the season. We're going to be talking through each of these curses, and we're going to be ranking them in a tier list based on how believable each of them are. So let's get into it right now. So first up, we have the clown curse. So this curse states that if a queen wears a clown outfit, she will go on to eventually win the season. It started with Bianca because she wore like a clown-inspired outfit for the season 6 finale viewing party. Then the next season, Violet wore like a clown-inspired outfit for the Ugliest Dress runway, which, I mean, I guess that this fits into clown. Like, I personally wouldn't call this a clown if I saw someone wearing it. Then Bob went on to go wear one in her black and white runway on season 8, the next season. And then Sasha Velour wore a clown outfit on the Club Kid runway on season 9, the following season. And then also Monet and Trinity on All Stars 4, they also wore clown outfits. And then on season 11, Evie Oddly wore one. Okay, there's a lot of winners that have wore clown outfits. And so this theory kind of came to be, which said that if you wore a clown outfit, you would win the season.
There's a big thing about queens dressing as clowns and winning their season.
But what this curse fails to mention, and I'm sure because you're a smart person, you had already figured this out, because you may realize that not every winner has wore a clown outfit. And a lot of people who have been on the show since have wore clown outfits and have not won. And also, like, people used to cite like the Trinity and Monet both wearing clown outfits, but that doesn't really count to me because then every, person in that challenge had to wear a clown outfit. It was part of the challenge. So you can't, say it if everyone was wearing one. What about Latrice? Did she win a season? Is she going to win a season? Is this saying that Latrice Royale is going to win a future All-Star season because she wore a clown outfit like 10 years ago?
When they go low, we go high.
But I think we can see that, like, the more winners that you kind of add into this list, that it starts to quickly fall apart. But because it was true for a little while, and we don't know if Latrice Royale will win All Stars 15, we haven't got there yet, I'm going to give it an I'm skeptical rating. So next up, we have the disco makeover curse. So this curse states that if during the makeover challenge, you decide to make disco themed outfits for you and your partner, you will end up in the bottom. And like, there is damning evidence for this, because if you look at every single makeover, all the disco outfits always end up in the bottom. Like, this is not this is a real curse. You have Jade and Dior Fierce in season 7, you have Cameron Michaels season 10, you have Silky in season 11, Jackie Cox and Heidi N Closet in season 12. Like, every single time you do it, you do end up in the bottom. And what's even more compelling to me is that if you look at Heidi N Closet and Jackie Cox, they were both put in the bottom on the same episode, which is like crazy. Like, out of all of the outfits that episode, it was the only 2 disco outfits got put in the bottom. So I am putting this one in. This curse is 100% real because, based on the evidence, it is real. So next up, we have the curse of winning the premiere episode of an All-Star season. So this curse states that if you win the episode, the first episode of an All-Star season, you will end up in the bottom in episode 2. People believe this curse is real because it's happened like almost every single time that it possibly could. Out of the 11 possible contestants, a total of 8 people fell victim to this curse. So that is 8 out of 11 people who have won the premiere episode have ended up in the bottom the episode after. The only 3 contestants to escape this curse were Ben de la Creme and Aja on All Stars 3, and then Trinity the Tuck on All Stars 4. Those are the only 3 people out of all of the All Star seasons to escape this. So while it does have a lot of evidence going for it, is it technically true? It's almost true. I think that the reason that this curse actually exists is not actually because there's some nefarious magical demon that is causing this to happen, but it's because of storyline reasons. It's compelling TV to have someone who did really well the first episode end up in the bottom the second episode, because you're like, oh my god, they had such a fall from grace. And I think that they just keep using that storyline like over and over, even when it doesn't even really make sense. Like, they did that to Mo Hart on season 4 of All Stars when she did really good in the girl group, but they just randomly put her in the bottom. While it may not be 100% correct, it does have a lot going for it. I'm gonna put it in it's looking likely. So next up, we have what is referred to as the Snatch Game curse. So this is one of the more well-known curses that's kind of getting more and more traction as the show goes on. And this curse states that when when an Asian contestant participates in Snatch Game, they will most likely end up in the bottom. Now, this does happen on the US seasons. For example, if we just look at like the past 2 Snatch Games that we had Nymphia Wind ending up in the bottom in season 16, and then we had Aura Mayari ending up in the bottom for season 15. However, both of them escaped the bottom 2, so they were ultimately declared safe, which means that in the US franchise, there's only 2 Asian queens who have been eliminated on Snatch Game. The first one being Gia Gunn on season 6, and the second one being Gia Gunn on All Stars 4. So while this curse does, exist in the US franchise, it's specifically so bad, it's crazy bad on the international seasons. Specifically the UK seasons, I did the kind of like statistics for this. I'm pretty sure this is correct. So for the UK series, there's been 5 Snatch Games which have featured at least one Asian queen, and every single one of those Snatch Games has had an Asian queen go home. However, the UK isn't the sole perpetrator of this curse. Canada's Drag Race also has a track record of eliminating Asian queens on the Snatch Game episodes, or at least putting them in the bottom. There's a really great Reddit post which kind of like synthesizes all this information, and it has like charts on how many Asian queens have been eliminated on Snatch Game per the different franchises, and it's really interesting, and there's a lot of work put into it, so I highly recommend checking that out. This curse is real, especially on the UK seasons. So next up, we have the curse which states drag queens with edible names are always runners-up and never winners, and the names which are cited for this curse are Ginger Minge on season 7, Kimchi on season 8, Peppermint on season 9, Silky Nutmeg Ganache on season 11, Bag of Chips on UK 1, Jujubee on all 4 of her seasons, Candy Muse for season 13 and All Stars 8, Rosé for season 13. It goes on and on. There's like a good few names which are all edible, which ended up as runner-ups. And from me listing those names, you may be saying, oh my god, like RunnerEye, this is crazy. Like this is a real legitimate theory. Like there were so many names there must be so many more. Like that's, how did we not know this? And you're kind of correct there. But also, this theory suffers from what many theories do, which is that it's very selective about its data set, and so we're just leaving out every other food related name which did not become a runner-up, like Honey Davenport, or Milk, or Cornbread, or Sugar and Spice, and as well as a plethora of others. So while this is like one of the most funny ones to me, and it's one of the most amusing ones that we're going to be talking about here today, I think it's safe to say that this is debunked. So next up we have the curse, which states that if you win Snatch Game, you are in the bottom for the ball episode. This is one of the older curses on the list, but people used to believe that if you won the Snatch Game on your season, you would automatically end up in the bottom for the ball, which was normally after Snatch Game in the earlier seasons of Drag Race. Every season before season 10 had the ball come after the Snatch Game. Now they normally do it before, but that was not the case at the time. People who are cited as examples of this curse are Tatiana on season 2, Chad Michaels on season 4, Jinx on season 5, Dayla on season 6, Kennedy on season 7, Bob the Drag Queen on season 8, Alexis Michelle on season 9. But now, interestingly enough, that the ball comes before the Snatch Game generally, this curse no longer takes place, and normally, we've actually had a good couple of people who have won both the ball and Snatch Game, like Aquaria, Gigi Good, and then Gottmik. So I would say this is inconclusive. So next up we have the Rusical Curse. This is one of the more well-known curses in the franchise, because for the US franchise, the curse has still not been broken. The curse states that if a queen wins her season's Rusical, she has a 0% chance of winning the crown at the end of the season. And this curse comes from the fact that we've never had a winner on the show win the Rusical. Every single time the winner of the Rusical either ends up getting eliminated, shortly after, or they go on to become a runner-up, but they never win the season. And this also extends to All-Stars. We've never had an All-Stars winner win their Rusical either. It's been broken by some of the winners on the international seasons, but on the US, it has still yet to be broken. And so if we just look at the US seasons, this curse is 100% real. So next up, we have the Season 6 All-Stars Curse. So this curse states that if a queen from Season 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race goes on All-Stars, she will have something really negative in production happen, which will either cause them hate or cause them to leave the show. So you may be wondering, what does this mean in actuality? Let me go through the examples. We have Adore Delano on All-Stars 2 quitting.
I'm thinking of going home.
Of tapping out?
I think so.
We have Milk on All-Stars 3, who was given a terrible delusional edit, which changed fans' opinion of her.
This is ridiculous. I hate this. Yes. Those 3, really?
We have Ben de la Creme on All-Stars 3, who ended up eliminating herself.
I'm going home.
We have Gia Gunn on All Stars 4 who got the villain edit.
Yeah, do your makeup and get ready, sweetie. Because according to your team, you're the weakest link.
Which, I mean, Gia wanted that villain edit, so I don't know how accurate this one is, but, you know, people say it, so we're just gonna keep going and pretend like this didn't happen. We have Trinity K. Bonet on All Stars 6, who would have made it to the finale and potentially won the season if it wasn't for a random twist.
That was so close.
And then the last contestant, we have Darian Lake, who on All Stars 8 was scapegoated as the reason for her team's failure and was eliminated because of it.
I have to apologize because I did not come up with the concept for this. Ultimately, it was Darian's idea.
So every single time a season 6 queen has gone on All Stars, something bad has happened to them. I think this one is a little bit of a stretch, specifically the Gia Gunn and Darian Lake one. Again, like I said, Gia Gunn, she went in there wanting to be a villain, so, you know, you can't really blame her for getting a villain edit when, like, that's what she wanted. And then the second one, which I don't, you know, fully subscribe to, is the Darian Lake one. Her team did do the worst that challenge, and yes, she did have a little bit of an extra push by Alexis Michelle to get her under the bus, but I think that because she had been in the bottom before then and she had the worst track record of her team, you know, she would have tripped and fell under the bus regardless of Alexis Michelle. And Alexis Michelle just made sure it happened. So while this one isn't fully accurate, there is enough going for it in terms of the 2 quits and the random twist that screwed over Trinity that I'm willing to put it in inconclusive. You know, if we have one more person from season 6 go on and we'll see, you know, their run on the show. So next up we have the curse, which is adapting to the judges' critiques. So this curse states that when the judges ask you to change a very specific thing about your drag, when you do change that thing, you will immediately go home or go home shortly afterwards. So this curse largely started with Milk on season 6 when she was asked by the judges to, you know, switch up her kind of funky drag style to do something glamorous. And then when she did try and go for glamour, she was sent home that episode. Then it happened the next season with Max and they asked her to switch up her gray hair. The episode that she did, they sent her home. And there's a few other ones like Marsha on season 15 when they asked her to change up her makeup, she did. And then shortly after she went home. I guess you can make, you know, an argument for Carrie Colby when they told her to, you know, start doing ugly instead of always doing pretty. But I don't know. I think this one is kind of a stretch because I feel like the, you know, margin of error is too great. Like saying that they'll get eliminated on the episode itself, that they changed the makeup or they changed, you know, how the thing that they have been asked to change and they got eliminated that episode. I think that would be really compelling evidence. But the fact that it's like, well, like they can be eliminated on the specific episode or some general time afterwards, I find a little bit wish-washy. And I feel like it kind of like discredits the theory. And on top of this, there's plenty of queens who, when they've been asked to change something about themselves, they do, and then they go on even further. And I think it's a little bit, you know, corny, played out. It's a lie. And I'm just not going to stand for it. I'm not going to have it on the list. I think it's absolutely disgraceful that people would even play this off as something that's true. And I'm going to say it's debunked. So next up, we have the Beyonce curse, which is one of the most famous curses in all of Drag Race. The curse states that if you play Beyonce on Drag Race, you will bomb the challenge and end up in the bottom. It all started back in season 2 when one of the contestants did Beyonce for the first ever Snatch Game, and they bombed, but they were saved because of immunity. Then on season 4, where Kenya Michaels did Beyonce for Snatch Game, which is widely known as one of the worst, if not the worst Snatch Game of all time, and she ended up in the bottom and went home. And then we have season 10 where Asia O'Hara did Beyonce for Snatch Game, and it's one of the hardest Snatch Games to watch of all time. And because every single person who played Beyonce on the show did so bad that it ended up being one of the worst Snatch Games of all time, the Beyonce curse was created. And it ended up being such a big curse that it was also talked about on the show on All Stars 6 when Trinity K. Bonet was tasked with playing Beyonce in the, you know, halftime headliner show. And because she had to play Beyonce in a musical and not in a Snatch Game, you know, environment, she did amazingly well. She broke the curse, and now, you know, people say that the curse is broken, but I still think it kind of exists just because if someone were to play Beyonce for Snatch Game again, I think that they would still bomb. Like, she is just a hard character to pull off in that environment. I do still think it technically exists just because of the Snatch Game element of it, but, you know, Trinity did break the overall Beyonce curse on the show. So next up, we have the Canadian Queen curse. So this curse states that in any All-Stars season, if there is a Canadian queen on the cast, she will go home first. The curse was born from Lemon going home first on UK vs. the World Season 1, and then Kendall Jenner going home first on Canada vs. the World Season 1. But this curse was so well known that it even got its own storyline on Canada vs. the World Season 2, where Fierce Delicious tried to kind of create a Canadian alliance to make sure that the Canadian queens didn't go home first. And on that very season, the curse was broken with a French queen going home instead. And then a Canadian queen going on to win the season, and then it was broken, yay. So that is the tier list. Thank you so much for watching. I would appreciate it if you could, hit the little subscribe button. I'm at like 95,000, so I only have like 5,000 to go until 100,000. That would be a really big milestone for me. So any, help to get there, I would really appreciate it. I have a Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you want to go check me out over there, please do. I also have a Patreon, which has an extended version of this very video where we talk about even more Drag Race curses. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. And now it is that time of the week where I give a special shout out to PRHX. Zay is gay. There we go. Zay is gay. Kat, Frankie Deutsch, Ray Vision, Lady Gaga, Alicia, He Him Sir, Ryan the Nerd, Lucian, M, Jay Stevenson. Did you just say Wig? Reese Burke, James Burton, Cool Gal Nan, Vern Wisner, Brony RuPaul, Jabroni, Giovanni JPEG, Edgar Allan Pup, Count Cacula, Yuno, Michael, Planet Daniel, The Almighty Anginator, Mobster Lobster, Jim Jamie James Bradshaw, Nico Montano, Ravi Kasari, Eve, Dip, Crazy Oats, Yoon Wyatt, Vico Pop, and Tone. Guys, it's time for me to come up with another way to say thank you. I try and make every single one of these thank yous different, but there's only so many ways that I can express my... Actually, you know what? I will give a thank you, because I've come to the realization over here after doing taxes, after doing like monetary things, that the Patreon is like the most stable income that I get. It's nice to know that there is a support behind the channel, that I can rely on it, and I'm very grateful. So that is my special thank you of the day.